What's up, everybody? This is your boy Uber Hikari, aka the Nerd Nigga, here to bring you another video with no frills, just the analysis. And today I'm here to bring you the episode 76 review of Hunter x Hunter entitled Reunion and Understanding. Yes, it's finally here! The Chimera Ant arc here, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, here. My favorite arc in the manga by far. Miriam Beast. Netero Beast. You will get to see these amazing characters. Cause to tell you the truth, the artwork is shitty. What Togashi? Why, man? Why? Why? The artwork in the chapters is shitty. He redraws it at least for the manga, but still, anime far superior in terms of artwork and aesthetics than the manga. What's going on with Togashi? Well, he was never that great of an artist, but damn, really bad. In any event, my favorite arc of this series is finally here in the anime. And to be honest, not that much happened in this episode. I thought that the pace would move a little more swiftly, shall we say. That didn't happen. First, let me start off with my first impression, since this is my first time reviewing the anime. First, the opening is just stupid, and it really does not fit with this arc at all. For anybody who's read the manga, you'll realize immediately that the opening is too cheery, too upbeat. It just doesn't fit with what's about to happen in the manga. It doesn't fit at all. Also, overall, the OST, I don't know, I just watched this for one episode, so I haven't heard all of the in episode music, all of the OSTs yet. But from what I heard in this episode, I'm not liking it too much. I like the ending though. I will say I like the ending, but the other in episode music, a little shaky. Looking a little shaky, baby. As for the animation, of course the animation is crisp and nice, and it's certainly better than the 1999 version. Of course, there's not nearly as much blood as there was in the 1999 version, but this will do. Animation is nice, crisp, clean, more modern, so it's okay. Nice trade-off, or at least it is at least an acceptable trade-off. So, summary and analysis of this episode. So what happened in this episode? Hmm. Well, Gon, Killua, and Kite sit around the campfire and talk. And that was pretty much everything that happened in this episode. To be honest, this episode felt like it was being padded for some reason. I I don't really understand why. Like I said, I thought the pace would move a little more swiftly than it has, but I suppose this is just an exposition and setup episode that sort of grounds this arc, and I suppose the slow start is to be expected in any event. So Gon and Killua use a company to go to the person that they think is Ging, Gon's father, and there's a man sitting underneath a tree, hat pulled down, Kango, because Kite's cool like that. He can rock a Kango. And he gets up, immediately pulls out a gun and starts shooting at them. And it's revealed later on that Gon and Killua landed right in the middle of a Chimera ant nest. And obviously, for people who have read the manga, this is a little awkward because their meeting doesn't go like this in the manga. It's not bad. It's just a little bit awkward because when Gon and Killua meet Kite in the manga, he doesn't pull out a gun and start shooting at them. But yeah, they landed right on top of a Chimera ant nest, and Kite has to shoot all the ants because they start jumping on Killua, and one jumped on Killua and started biting him and stuff. So yeah, these ants are pretty aggressive, carnivorous, pretty aggressive. They even attack humans apparently. Well, the little ones, not the big ones. Well, little ones and the big ones. Shit. Those big ones, yeah, they attack humans too. But even the little ones attack humans, I meant to say. But yeah, so Gon and Killua, at first they don't realize who this is. Well, of course, Killua doesn't realize. He's never met Kite. But Gon, after questioning him a little bit, he remembers that he met Kite before, and then they show the prior meeting via flashback where Kite saves Gon on Whale Island way back in the past from a fox bear. And then Gon, after recognizing him and remembering who he is, he starts questioning him, and they find out that Kite is actually one of Jing's pupils. He was his apprentice at one point in time. And we learn Kite's backstory, how he met Jing and how he became his pupil and all that other stuff. That doesn't happen in the manga, so that's pretty much in canon filler, if you will. Like I said, it's not bad, it's just pads the episode out. So let me talk about one of the, let me see, well, the most important thing, put it that way, in this episode that was somewhat subtle. All right, so the most interesting thing revealed in this episode was how Jing managed to trick Gon and sort of the implications of what that means for the relationship between Jing and Gon. So Jing anticipated that Gon would try to smuggle some cards out of Greed Island and use them in the real world, use them outside the game to try to find him in the real world. So Jing tells the CPU, I believe that's just the CPU for the game of Greed Island. He tells the CPU if Gong you not Gong, Jing Gon. If Gon uses magnetic force, then send him to me. Send him directly to me. But if he uses a company, send him to Kite. And even though this was a sort of flashback and it was serious, it had a sort of comedic undertone to it that sort of masked the seriousness of what Jing was saying. So the CPU asks Jing why. Why would it make a difference if he used magnetic force as opposed to a company? And Jing says that if Gon doesn't have the guts to face me alone, I don't want to meet him at all at this point. He's not ready to meet me, and I don't want to see him. And the CPU asks the obvious question, why would bringing a friend mean that he is gutless? That he doesn't have courage or bravery? And the CPU goes on to sort of suggest that the reason why Jing doesn't want to meet Gon if he uses the company is because he would be ashamed to have to explain himself in front of other people. And that's sort of what the CPU surmises. And Jing tries to play this off by deflecting the CPU's comments and questions with humor. But it's heavily implied that that's the reason why he doesn't want to meet Gon if he uses a company. And I found this to be somewhat ironic that Jing would state that he doesn't want to meet Gon if he uses a company because it would mean that Gon is gutless and doesn't have the courage to face him on his own. When in fact the reality is that Jing doesn't want to meet Gon if he uses a company because he would be ashamed of explaining himself in front of other people. And therefore that means that he's the one who really lacks the courage. He's the one who's really gutless, at least with respect to this particular instance in his relationship with his child and having to take responsibility and confront his child. So Jing understands that he's a bad father, and he knows that, he's been a bad father, and he's ashamed of his actions. So he doesn't want to have to explain himself in front of other people. And so his shame becomes a barrier to seeing his own son. So on the one hand, he really feels bad and he really feels ashamed of being a bad father. But on the other hand, he continues to be a bad father by allowing himself to be overwhelmed by his shame and not taking the responsibility and seeing Gon, even if he has to sort of swallow his shame by explaining himself in front of his son's friends. So it's sort of Jing is trapped in a sort of catch 22 type situation. So that was the most important thing that we learned in this episode, which had to do everything with a person who really didn't even appear, maybe for a scene or two. Also, Kite. One thing I noticed about Kite is that his demeanor is noticeably different between the anime depiction and the manga depiction. In the manga, he's much more eccentric, he's much more upbeat, cheery type of character. And in the anime, he seems more formal and more stoic. And tell you the truth, I hope he becomes more like he was in the manga, because I liked him more in the manga because he was sort of comedic relief, if you will, especially with respect to his nin ability, which I'll get to a little bit later. But like I said, he seems to be more formal, more stoic, and he even shows this when he tells Gon to address him as just Kite rather than Kite's son, because he doesn't feel comfortable with having his master's son refer to him as a superior. So that was one thing. And so yeah, I'm curious to see if his demeanor will become more like it was in the manga, and if it doesn't, I wonder precisely his where the writers will take his personality going forward, because a major component of this arc was the relationship between Gon and Kite. So if his personality is changed, I wonder how the relationship will change, and as a result, I wonder how the plot might change. It might not change at all. Maybe it won't change at all. So I'm interested and curious to see how that pans out. Also, I love Kite's nin ability. Crazy slot. That clown is funny as hell. So for those of who don't know, because I don't think his nin ability was fully explained in this episode, let me just explain it. It's not that much of a spoiler. But Kite's ability is called Crazy Slot. And basically he has a clown that's like sticking out his tongue, and on his tongue is a series of numbers that go from 1 to 9. And whenever, so it's like a lottery, like a slot machine. That's what's called, Crazy Slot. So the numbers go from 1 through 9 on his tongue, and when a number is revealed, there's a weapon that corresponds to that number. And Kite has to, whatever weapon comes out, he must use it. And he can't get rid of it until he uses it, and only then is he allowed to choose another weapon. Now that clown is funny as hell, because it has a sort of black comedy sense of humor, and it's always taunting Kite. So a lot of the comedy from Kite, I'm expecting, will be from his nin ability Crazy Slot, which is always making these these funny observations of the situation, and is always taunting Kite. So whenever Kite gets a weapon that he doesn't like, Crazy Slot will be like, "You bastard, you should be grateful that I even gave you this. It's an excellent weapon." So I really like Crazy Slot. Also, the Chimera Ant Queen. We did get to see some brief, maybe like a couple of seconds of the Chimera Ant Queen. And so yeah, the only mentions of the Chimera ants in this episode was the nest that Gon and Killua stepped on, and the sort of scenes interspersed with the campfire talking of the Chimera Ant Queen that we saw, that was interspersed with the campfire talking with Gon, Killua, and Kite. And we got to see that she's pretty injured. And the manga was never quite explained how she got so badly injured. So I'm wondering if they'll explain that in the anime. But we can see that she's like, I think she's like missing an arm, and she's pretty banged up. And she's trying to regain her strength so she can give birth to the king. And at this point, this is pretty much all we know about the Chimera Ant Queen. So based on the preview, it looks like things will start to pick up pretty quickly in the next episode. So yeah, here's hoping to the fact that this arc will start to move more swiftly in the upcoming episodes. So this was your boy Uber Hikari, aka the Nerd Nigga. Just brought you another video with no frills, just the analysis. Peace and have a blessed day.